Live in Studio G at San Joaquin Delta College, KWDC, LP Stockton, 93.5 FM.
I am Marceline Call. You're listening to KWDC 93.5 FM.
There's the field and gets it to go. Marcia D. Hall is taking over this first half. The people are her.
It's my favorite radio station.
Things are getting exciting, folks.
The voice of Stockton, home of the Delta College Mustangs.
You're listening to the Movie Talk on KWDC 93.5 FM.
Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to the Movie Talk Show. I'm your host, Sartaj Bangu, and in the booth today, I have Alton Henry, Paul Besto, and
David Hudman.
I forgot your last name.
It's
Sorry,
all
dude.
good. It's all good.
Yep, and how are you guys today?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right.
Good.
Awesome. So, I wanted to start off the show today just talking about us, the guys in the booth, the people who are really interested in the film industry and making movies. And, I forgot about Gus, the board up. Yeah, I'm sorry, Gus. He's sad. All right. All right, well, I just want to talk a little bit about our favorite movies, if we want to go into the film industry, just, so the viewers know who we are and why we started the show and stuff like that. So I'll start off. I want to be in the film industry, and I really enjoy writing, and I love movies. It's something that I always look forward to. My dad used to take me to the movies, every weekend, and, we'd make a big thing out of it, and that's really where my love of movies has stemmed from. So, yeah, I want to make movies as a career, and I really want to start out just working on any type of movies, and this movie talk show is a really fun thing for us because we love movies so much. So David, why don't you? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Cool. Why am I here? Is that what am I doing?
Just talk about your interests, and
interest in film.
Your interest in film.
Well, I'm a photographer, and I'm dabbling more of cinematography, and then just always been a lover of movies, and being able to be a part of a talk show. I've never had that opportunity before, so it's an awesome opportunity to take. And then now being involved with you guys, I feel like I know nothing about movies, and I'm still learning so much when I thought I knew a lot. So it's really awesome to be here, and hopefully this stems something down the line that I now have a cool radio talk show thing going on. I don't know.
And for people who have been listening to the Movie Talk Show, they all know that we are huge nerds. So yeah, David found out, and you gotta keep up.
Yes.
All right, Paul, what about you?
Well, I've always loved movies. I had a babysitter that took me to the movies all the time, so I would see a new movie every week, and I just really enjoyed it. And I didn't start really wanting to get into movies as a profession or just for fun until I was 15, and at that age, that's when I really started watching movies, focusing on them and studying everything about them. And I'm really into the independent field of filmmaking. I'm not very much interested in Hollywood or making Hollywood films, but I do like the independent field because you can kind of be creative and do whatever you want in a way. And with a budget you get by yourself, and it's always fun. It's fun to be poor and then trying to ask for money.
Starving artist.
I like directing. I've done some short films, and I also really like writing. And I just finished my second feature screenplay. I just got it copyrighted, so I feel empty because I when you stop writing for a certain amount of time, you kind of feel empty. So you want to get back into it again.
I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
Once you give everything into a piece of work that you're
right,
super creative on, and then
so right now, just short films, and then I want to get into features, and I love talking about movies. We've been talking about Kubrick for the past month, and he's one of my favorite filmmakers. He inspired me to really make movies and to look at different perspectives of how we view things.
Right.
So talking about him is like, man, my dream, man. That's on my bucket list. So,
all right.
So that's my story.
What about you, Alton?
Well, ever since my dad introduced me to movies or has taken me to go to a movie, sometimes he'll like watch TV and then he'll watch the same movie he probably watched, I don't know, like months ago. So I kind of got in the habit of watching the same movie over again just for fun. Then watching just all kinds of movies, action, drama, comedy, mostly action.
Right.
Mostly action. Then it wasn't until 2012 I started really trying to look into movies. But I have to say, when Inception came out, that's where I really start to try to figure out different meanings, interpretation behind movies. Then in 2012, that's where I really start trying to figure out what's more. I mean, just watching movies, just figuring out just more about it than just watching it for entertainment. Just trying to figure out what's more behind it. I would love to range from independent films to mainstream films. Right now, haven't really been working on anything yet, but I have been coming up with ideas to write for feature screenplays. I have a huge one in mind. I have written out some screenplays, but I haven't got them copyrighted yet because they're still in development of writing. So I'm planning on going back and rewriting some of it, changing some of the stuff until I get satisfied. I could see myself as those kind of writer directors who would write their screenplays and won't be satisfied until I really feel like I really have something I really want to see on screen. So I don't care if it takes me, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years maybe. If I go down that road, then so be it. But I love movies, independent, mainstream, anything.
I feel the same way, and I really like hearing that we have filmmakers in the booth because because you guys know we can relate to the hard work that we put in to writing, to directing, to just trying to make any type of movies.
Yeah.
And we really understand how hard it is to make something and put it on the screen.
Especially if you're trying to get people to commit to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made my last film for a school project, then everybody kind of dipped at the last minute. So then I had to try to get new people. Then I wasn't able to film all the scenes that I wanted. So when you watch it, it's like, okay, it's like a puzzle. So yeah, one piece missing, the other part's still there. What the?
As a independent filmmaker, when your budget is zero, there's not any money keeping your actors together and on set, so that's definitely difficult.
Do it for the art of film.
Yeah.
It's essential to get this film out.
I know, it's tough. So you're working on a screenplay right now.
I'm working on I haven't written it yet, but I'm still coming up with ideas because I'm thinking some of the ideas that may come forth might better than the last one. It's a sci-fi movie, but I won't go into details into it.
Right. And is this going to be a feature or a short film?
I'm seeing it as a feature. I can't really see it as a short film right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably like a long, close to like an epic 3-hour sci-fi horror film.
Okay.
So,
nice.
I mean, I wanna try to keep that. I won't say what it's gonna tribute to because who knows, that could be gone. So I really have a good vision in my mind, and plus I want it to be in the 2 movies. So it'll be part 1, then part 2, with the tone might change a little drastically.
Nice.
I read a quote from Ira Glass the other day, and it was directed to all these young filmmakers and people who are having trouble. And he basically said that every creative person goes through a phase where they're not happy with their work because they have a vision, and what they make for this phase in their life, it doesn't come up to the vision, right? So I really, really like this quote because this short film that I'm working on it's a class project, but it's like my first real production, and I'm not happy with it, right? But then reading that quote, I'm like, this is pretty good for a first experience. It's a learning experience, and I'm glad that I can go on and become better,
Yeah.
So this is your first film?
Yep.
Okay,
much.
well, I'll tell you a little bit when I was making my film.
Yeah.
It's not going to go as planned at all. I mean, I wanted like 2 big action scenes, and I wasn't able to get that because, one, I kind of procrastinated a bit to see who's going to join in and who's not going to join in. Then when I had people schedule up, they kind of dipped out at the last minute, and I filmed some of their scenes, and they couldn't do it, so I had to go out. So I had to act in it myself.
Right.
Then I had to restrain some certain things and some plot elements where I had to get rid of just so I could just play like a straightforward film, but it didn't work out that way. At least I got something, but I wasn't satisfied with it.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about our own backstories, and so the viewers know a little bit more about us right after these short messages.
You're so annoying.
You're so annoying.
Stop copying me.
Stop copying me.
Mom, tell her to stop copying me.
Mom, tell her to stop talking to me.
Kids will spend 10 minutes copying everything their sibling says.
You're such a
You're
doofus.
such a doofus.
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Mom!
A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Every day, I wake up at 5 a.m. to give Dad his medicine. Every day, I wake up at 5 a.m. to give Dad his medicine. At 6 a.m., I make his breakfast. Every day, I wake up at 5 a.m. to give Dad his medicine. At 6 a.m., I make his breakfast. At 7 a.m., I shower. Every day, I wake up at 5 a.m. to give Dad his medicine. At 6 a.m., I make his breakfast. At 7 a.m., I shower. I start laundry at 8. At 10, we go for a walk. Every day, I wake up at 5 a.m.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers for advice, tips, and support. Together, let's help each other better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score. You're kidding, right? No. How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro-synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year. Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now. You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score? I never really thought that. Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences. All right, I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, you know? Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals. A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to KWDC LP Stockton.
Alrighty then. How could I have been so careless? 1.21 gigawatts! I don't even know what that means. No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. No, it's nice. You blew it!
What is your name? Movie releases, DVD rentals, and more here on The Movie Talk on KWDC 93.5 FM.
Alrighty then. All right, we were just talking about some projects that we're working on. Alton told us about a brilliant screenplay that he's going to make, and it's going to become a sci-fi epic. And Paul, what are you working on?
Well, my friends and I just finished up a Western short film.
Really?
And that was a lot of fun to work on. I did sound mostly and Foley. And then I have 2 projects I'm filming this summer that will hopefully be done by the summer. Oh, and yeah, I can't really say much about them other than one of them's a sci-fi and the other one is a drama.
Okay.
So should be fun.
So for the Western, you did Foley.
Right. And that's fun. That's honestly it's like one of the funnest jobs to do.
Yeah, I bet. For any listeners that don't know, Foley is when you make the sound effects for a film, like for example, like bones breaking or something like that.
Yeah,
you don't actually break a bone. You make something that sounds like breaking a bone. Yeah, and all right. Well, how about you, man? David?
What am I working on?
Yeah. Working on anything? You're trying to be a photographer?
Yeah, I'm a photographer. I've been working on, actually, I'm a skateboarder, so I've been filming a skateboard video.
Oh, really?
Working on that, which is just as hard as like filming a short film, because you gotta get skateboarders together, you gotta get the one trick that lands, and it's just very hard. And then also working on our first short film. So that went pretty well. So
awesome. That sounds very interesting. So.
Oh, and then also starting up a documentary. Gonna take a stab at that and see how that turns out.
Oh, is that the one you were telling me about? But,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the documentary should turn out hopefully pretty nice.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, I think that's enough about us. Let's dive into the Wednesday segment is directors, and we've been talking this month about Stanley Kubrick. So we're going to start off today with Full Metal Jacket. And Paul, you want to go ahead and...
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully everyone has seen this movie.
I've seen it, man.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it, too.
A lot of Freudian influences are in this film, just like every other Kubrick film that we've talked about so far. And I just want to know, did you guys think this is an important war film? Like, would you recommend it to friends?
Yeah. I would say it's an important war film. It kind of gives you an idea as to what's being told for American soldiers who go to war, and what some soldiers might view war as. Because I kind of feel like they viewed it as a playground. Kind of like, okay, we'll train you, then now go play. Especially since the movie is divided into 2 acts, where the first act is a whole training session where it kind of seems like they're being brainwashed into adapting into the American propaganda and how to make your weapons and or do the salute and all that.
Yeah, training.
And the training is intense, and you can actually witness that these characters in the film are really struggling to keep that, especially with the character. I don't know if they mentioned his real name, or actually his character name in the film, but Gober Pyle.
Private Pyle. Yeah,
Private Pyle. Okay, Private Pyle. Where I think he has some sort of a disability. They never really disclosed that in the film, but it kind of seems like it kind of seemed like that during the Vietnam War, during that time, they kind of forced maybe disable people in the war without realizing it. Kind of.
He's the least disciplined in the group. Everyone else, I mean, he's kind of joking around. He's like smiling during in front of the drill sergeant. He's not doing his training exercises. He's getting donuts from the cafeteria or whatever. But it's interesting because Kubrick starts him off as like the protagonist in a way, and then the second act breaks off, and then Private Joker, which is another private in
their
group,
outfit,
he becomes the new protagonist.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really happen as often in movies.
The only
movie I can think of that does that is Psycho, where we're with Marion Crane for like the first act, through like the first part, and then the second is more on Norman Bates and the aftermath of her death. So
that's true, but
so I thought that was interesting. But this definitely takes place in the Vietnam War. I didn't really go over the log line. I should probably say that before we start.
Go ahead.
This is the IMDb log line. This film was made in 1987, and the description is: a pragmatic U.S. Marine observes the dehumanizing effects the U.S. Vietnam War has on his fellow recruits, from their brutal boot camp training to the bloody street fighting in Hue.
In Hue?
Yeah, that's an interesting, that's an odd description. But, I mean, basically it's kind of, like we were talking about, like the first act is more into the training, and Kubrick kind of is trying to tell us that being in the Army is kind of like an institution where you're trained to act violently, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's what we're seeing in the first act, and we feel bad for some characters, and at other times it's almost humorous in a way. Like we were watching clips earlier and we were laughing, but it's in that situation.
It's
when you're there.
dehumanizing, basically.
Yeah,
but
it's
It's like you're stripping.
manipulation. Yeah, it's all that good stuff.
And it's strange to think about, but the things that the drill instructor actually does in the film is something that happens in real life too. Just like the constant abuse that the soldiers who are training get, it's pretty crazy, and it's really, it is kind of almost funny in the film because of just the constant insults, but at the same time there's moments where it becomes all too real, and you're kind of horrified when you watch it.
But did this change your vision about the war in general and all, this particular movie, you think? Anybody?
Well, kind of. I mean, kind of. It kind of made me had a idea that when people do go get recruited to the war, it seems like they try to brainwash soldiers to actually enjoy killing another, so they could try to eradicate that thought of killing is wrong. You're doing it for the American side. You're doing this for American propaganda. But
killing
I
the
think,
bad guys,
killing the bad guys. But they kind of show that at the end of the film, where they kind of wanted soldiers to neglect that fact that they want you to feel sorry for the enemy, knowing that there are also innocents on the other side of that,
right?
Other people you're fighting, because you know that in every war there's always going to be innocents, and innocents are always going to get hurt in war. But I feel like they really wanted the soldiers in the film to erase that fact that there are some good people or some innocent people on the side.
Right, and yeah, they want to basically, during the training, they're brainwashing to think that, they're sort of condoning the violence that they're about to have to do, right? And they dehumanize the enemy, the Vietnamese people, right? Because if you're fighting them and you think like, oh, this guy has a family and like kids, right? You're not gonna pull the trigger.
And that's what happens in the second act. We see about a bunch of innocents dying from just...
Especially during that helicopter transport where the guy is...
just mindless...
just mindlessly shooting all the Vietnamese women and children. It's that's a scene kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
Then also the next scene after that, where you see them kind of dehumanizing a body and making jokes out of it when they go to this rendezvous, where they're mentioning about killing a bunch of gooks or Vietnamese people out there. And, I mean it's very degrading. It's a very degrading scene.
Yeah, and I was reading on IMDb. I'm not sure how true this is, but there's a scene that was cut from the film where some of the army guys are playing soccer, and they're not playing with a soccer ball. They're playing with a human head. All right, and that kind of and that kind of just like Alton was saying about how the war becomes sort of like a game, right? It's sort of what they show right with that scene, but even though it was cut,
I can see why it was cut.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty crazy. We'll talk a little bit more about Full Metal Jacket and Stanley Kubrick right after this short break.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions, brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
The forest is a treasured and magical place.
Hello, Bambi.
Hello, little prince.
Hello. Hello there.
But a wildfire can destroy its beauty for a lifetime. It's always wildfire season somewhere in America. Nearly 9 out of 10 wildfires nationwide are caused by the carelessness of humans and could be prevented. But together, we can make a difference.
Watch what I can do!
Help protect the home of our forest friends.
He can call me a flower if he wants to.
To find out more, log on to SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
This message has been brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, the National Association of State Foresters, and the Ad Council.
Come on! You could do it!
Okay, so just type the job website address here. That's it. Then you enter what job you're looking for there.
Electrician. This is Peter. Recently, he got help going on the internet for the first time to look for a new job.
Okay, then you just hit search and...
In the past, Peter's gotten work through people he knew, but he heard there were more jobs online.
There we go.
These are all for me?
Uh-huh.
Really? He had no idea just how many. I can't believe it. This one looks good. Peter is thinking the internet might be for him after all.
And this is just one website.
Wow. Why didn't I do this sooner? See what the internet can help you do at everyoneon.org or call 1-855-387-9166 to find a free training class near you. Brought to you by Connect to Compete and the Ad Council.
Movie releases, DVD rentals, and more here on The Movie Talk on KWDC 93.5 FM.
We are back. You're listening to the Movie Talk Show on KWDC LP Stockton 93.5 FM. We were talking about Stanley Kubrick and Full Metal Jacket, an amazing war film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Paul, you had a question for us?
Yes. What did you guys think about the ending, and do you think Kubrick's voice makes it different in this war film against the other war movies out there?
Well, I think it's probably one of the most easiest films to try to interpret if you really pay attention in the film. Where if you try to compare it to Apocalypse Now, another Vietnam War epic, where in that film it shows you that in every human being we have some sort of evilness in us, and it consumes us with darkness. With Full Metal Jacket, I think it just shows you that. How they kind of look at the military, where it just turned people into natural born killers, where at the end where Private Joker realized that after the ending, he kind of realized that there are innocents on the other side too, and we're just killers, and nothing that we've done has really made any sense. Because because when I watched the movie, it seemed like some of the things that we're doing or the meaning behind it didn't really make any sense at all. Like, supposedly there was some sort of, like, I don't remember what was the whole thing of getting into the Vietnam War, but it just sounded like that it didn't really made a whole lot of sense. Some of the things that they were doing in the film didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I just thought from the film, war just basically made people into killers, and it didn't. Right. Nothing made sense as to what they were doing.
It's definitely an anti-war movie.
Yeah.
And then the reason why we went into the Vietnam War was because communist expansion.
Oh yeah,
That's why. But I definitely agree. Kubrick, it's very, I think, easy to interpret. Although there are underlying.
There's a lot of deep.
There's some underlying messages and stuff like that. And Kubrick was very into psychology, and we were talking a little bit about the duality of man, this Jungian theory, and
Paul, which is in the film too. There's a scene where
he actually talks about it. The character,
the
Private Joker.
Yeah, Lieutenant is telling Joker, "Why do you have a peace symbol? Why are you wearing a peace symbol and have on your helmet Born to Kill?"
Because I think that kind of represents because it's nature. I mean, Private Joker. I mean, he's nature. He's trying to not mend the pain of killing, but he knows it's just a fact of nature that I am the peace, but I'll do what I got to do to kill. I mean, it's like a normal reaction to people when they fight for their lives, where you want to bring peace, but then you might have to kill to survive.
Well, he wants to make. I think what Kubrick is trying to say is, he's. I think what you said was good. I can't even.
So the Jungian theory.
Go back to the Jungian theory. Yeah.
Basically, he does address that and man as an animal, right, has two selves, right? There is like the natural self, and there's also the person, the human, right? So it's about good and evil, and there's a split consciousness kind of thing. So basically, the whole thing with the Born to Kill on the helmet and the peace sign on his shirt, it's saying that it's kind of Kubrick is also trying to get you to think like, how do we get to peace? Is it through war, right? And at the same time, with the Born to Kill, he's showing that there's no peace there. They're just killing.
Because Joker's after the bad guys.
Yeah,
the bad guy, their innocence. That he's killing.
If you kill a bad guy, are you a bad guy? Like that's kind of the thing. Like where is the line between good and evil, right and wrong? And then basically, it shows you that there are two sides of the coin, but you're still on the quarter. You know what I mean?
Still on the bad side.
That's not a good analogy. The line's blurred. The line's blurred.
Anything with, the movie shows, in order to understand or to see the dangers, it shows the dangers of violence and its psychological effects it has on the individual. And in the end of Full Metal Jacket, the question raised to us is, what is the cost of warfare on the individual soldier and his mind?
There you go.
So that's a very important element.
Definitely. All right. I wanted to address just real quick the performance of Arlie Army, was it?
Arlie Ermy?
Ermy. He's the drill sergeant in the film, and a really cool little tidbit. We've been talking about Kubrick, and we always say that he's such a perfectionist, and he does takes over and over and over again, like hundreds of times, just to get him right. And it could be the most basic thing, like a ball rolling, and he'll keep doing it. So for the drill sergeant, the guy was actually in the Army. He was actually a drill sergeant, and then he went on to acting. And basically, Kubrick first refused the role for him. He said, like, oh, you're not right for it. And on IMDb, it says that Arlie Ermy actually barked an order for Kubrick to stand up, and Kubrick instinctively stood up, right? And he got the job on the spot because of that.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah, I know.
You probably just stand up like, what?
Yeah.
He turned around like, oh, yep, you got the job now.
Exactly. And another thing is that Kubrick writes a lot of, almost all of the dialogue in his movies. And for a lot of the drill sergeant scenes, it was improvised. And I think that's amazing, especially for Kubrick, to allow, like, he's such a perfectionist that he wouldn't, take the risk of someone improvising a scene and improvising whole scenes of dialogue. So that's a great thing for an actor to achieve. So
yeah, definitely
wanted to just talk about him before we move it on to the next film.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange. We got to talk about Clockwork Orange.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go on. Clockwork Orange, another very, very great movie, similar in some aspects to Full Metal Jacket. Mm-hmm. And so, do you have the log line for it?
I do. I was actually going to introduce the film first before talking about it, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Let's get the log line going. In the future Britain, a charismatic delinquent Alex DeLarge is jailed and volunteers for an experimental aversion therapy developed by the government in an effort to solve society's crime problem. But not all goes according to plan. So to start, A Clockwork Orange is Kubrick's return to the independent side of filmmaking after his big-budget movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And this movie is considered one of the most controversial films that came out, and still is for many reasons. I'll mention that the film contains large amounts of sex and violence, and the most controversial part to the critics is how the movie sympathizes with a sociopath and rapist. So the result of the negative reviews made the director pull the movie out of some theaters. So that's like a director's worst nightmare. And supposedly the dispute of A Clockwork Orange changed for its 1973 release. So the director removed the 30 seconds of footage to win an R rating as opposed to the X rating the MPAA initially signed.
Which is pretty crazy. It's 30 seconds that lowered that.
Yeah, it is very odd. Yeah. But there's a lot to say about A Clockwork Orange, not only about the film, but the story itself and the legacy it has instilled in the minds of moviegoers. I'll kind of talk about more about the film instead of just the logline. The story is conceived as a satire on modern society, and the story takes place in a futuristic Britain, like I was talking about earlier, and follows the protagonist Alex and his droogs, and they spend their nights getting high at the Korova Milk Bar before embarking on ultra-violence or committing crimes, including rape.
So one thing, because that whole description had some slang that is invented for the movie.
Yes.
So it's stuff like droogs and ultraviolence.
It's NASDAQ.
Yeah.
It's like a mix of Russian and some other languages.
Yeah, it's made up for the novel A Clockwork Orange.
By Anthony Burgess. Yeah, the novel by Anthony Burgess, and then Kubrick adapted it from the novel.
All right, so we will talk a little bit more about A Clockwork Orange right after these short messages.
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And at the end of the day, the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. So United Way is asking you to make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Be a reader, tutor or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Take the pledge now at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Pierce Cornejo, part of the Stockton Benchwarmers. Are you looking for a great, free, non-competitive summer league for your boys or girls? Join the Junior Giants, where they teach confidence, teamwork, leadership, and integrity. Signups could be found on juniorgiants.org for kids and coaches. Also, if you'd like to sign up in person, you can make your way down to Stribley Community Center, located on 1760 East Sonora Street in Stockton, California. Signups end May 24th. And if you had any other questions, you can call Wooly Razzo at 209-937-7351. And by the way, don't forget to tune into the Stockton Benchwarmers from 6 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday on KWDC Stockton, FM 93.5.
You're listening to the Movie Talk on KWDC 93.5 FM.
And we are back. You're listening to the Movie Talk Show, and we're continuing our segment with focusing on director Stanley Kubrick. We just started talking about A Clockwork Orange, a 1971 movie that's... Paul, you had some questions for us?
Yeah,
regarding the film?
I just wanted to know what you guys thought about the film. What are your thoughts and reactions?
All right. Well, when I first saw the movie, I was... there's a scene in the beginning, like a rape scene, basically, that is really jarring. Like, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it really... it surprises you, and so
no
when
pun intended.
Yeah.
0 to 100.
It was very shocking.
Yep.
It was very original. I'll give it that. Then I felt very uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah.
Especially where the main character, who was the main character's name again?
Alex DeLodge.
Especially when he's being put through. I mean, I guess the symbolisms kind of got me a little bit, especially some of the artwork that they had in the beginning of the movie, and then Alex, where he was put through that machine to try to be a good person. Then when he was seeing all the bad stuff and all the tests that they were putting him through kind of made me, I felt sorry for him, but it also made me feel unsettled because it made me think like, what if I was put through that kind of a test to see? I mean, if I was that bad of a person, then I was put to that test to be a good person, and just everything that is just so bad makes you disgusted. And actually, it really does when you realize that all the bad stuff that human beings do and what we're capable of. It really is disgusting in a way.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a jarring film, and it does evoke quite a reaction, especially your first time watching it.
Oh yeah, my first watch was last night.
I would have to say this is probably
this is fresh in your mind.
This is probably the least favorite Stanley Kubrick film.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
yeah, I didn't really like it.
I haven't seen Lolita though, so I can't say. Yeah, but David, it's fresh in your mind.
Yes.
Anything that stood out? Anything you really want to talk about the film?
I mean, beautifully shot, just like every Kubrick. And just that scene though, like, it really makes you feel that uneasiness, like you're there and you're also being forced to watch it, and you can't really look away, and it's just
right.
It's like you're being conditioned to, like, the character, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's definitely an effect that I think Kubrick made intentionally.
But in the beginning, we don't like the protagonist because he's always doing is beating up people and raping people.
Yeah.
But did you end up sympathizing for Alex in the end?
I think I did, because
you understood him.
You follow him throughout the movie, and you kind of sympathize with him, especially in the third act when bad things really start happening to him. I did sympathize with Alex, even though he's an anti-hero. He's not a good guy, obviously. Mm-hmm. What did you guys think? Did you sympathize with him?
Yeah.
Alton?
A little.
A little?
A little. Just, yeah.
Could you, like, relate to why he was...
I mean, I could relate to it. I mean, the film didn't draw any backstory as to why he was being violent, but then when he's put through this transformation, then you kind of wanted to see how this guy kind of turns out for trying to be a good person. Then you realize that some of these experiments really does have a harsh effect on him. I mean, I blame it more on the experiment than his own being, but I did like the fact that I was able to like the character more. Right. But just what he was going through psychologically, I did felt kind of bad for him.
Right. All right, we should kind of delve into what happens to him.
Right.
So, the brainwashing and all that. Let's
all right, I can talk about
expand on it.
The scientists in the film are using a classical conditioning technique to eliminate sin from Alex's mind. So basically...
so Alex gets caught by the police.
Yeah, he gets caught
and then
by accidentally killing this cat lady, and he gets taken to prison. He's given a choice. You can either stay in prison your whole life or spend 3 days with this experiment and having a life-changing alteration and being let back in to society. So he chooses that, the experiment. So the experiment is a lot of kind of what Alex already does, like a lot of violence, a lot of rape, to the point he watches so much of it on the cinema screen where he's dehumanized by it. It's almost like a Full Metal Jacket in a way, where
but the opposite.
The opposite. So the government is dehumanizing soldiers, and in this
so that they can kill and
the government is trying to eliminate sin in Clockwork Orange.
Other way around. Yeah, so
see that connection,
right?
Yeah, so the two movies are related in a way.
But do you think Alex is without sin after the experiment? Is he actually cured? Do you think the experiment?
I don't think so. I don't think it worked. I don't know.
No, because it seems like he was thinking of a fantasy of thinking he was cured, but I don't think so.
Exactly.
Not the very end of the movie, after the experiment, and he after.
No, I don't think it works.
I think it backfired. Kind of a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not really guaranteed whether it worked or not. You just know that he's struggling with the effects of it, which I don't think it worked. Then actually, I don't think it worked at all.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think it worked. I think him struggling with it. That's there you go.
Because at the end, he was thinking about mating with another woman and everybody's celebrating and champagne and all that, and he was I don't think so.
I think it's a little bit of both, because in the beginning of the movie, Alex rapes a woman while singing the song "Singing in the Rain," and after the experiment, he sings it again, but he has no side effects from the treatment. But when they play Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in the beginning of the film, and is replayed again after the experiment, he's like physically sick and goes mad. And so the experiment must work to some extent. But what kind of
it
extent?
works, but I don't think it put off
it had some
a
kind
good
of
satisfaction on it.
Yeah, I think it had...
Because, I didn't think the experiment went where they were going to.
Right. I don't think it cured him of, having those thoughts, this sinful or whatever thoughts. I think it had some kind of effect on him, though.
It probably could have done maybe some extensive damage from maybe questioning his morals a bit, but I don't think it pulled off successfully because the dude committed suicide towards the end of the film,
right?
Claiming that the experiment wasn't too great on it. So they kind of pulled back on that, saying that the experiment was. I'll say it. Well, I don't think. I don't think it worked.
Isn't just him questioning the success of the experiment because he's not just committing anymore?
Right. Yeah. He's
that could be
cured. He's cured. In the
he
end,
kind of has like a
supposedly.
conscience almost.
Maybe he wanted to go back to his bad side, and the experiment didn't allow him to do that.
But why is Kubrick telling this message? Why did he make this movie? Why did he go back to making an independent film?
Well, I don't know. Did he make any film before that?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
Was the last big budget.
Well, maybe he felt that independent films you were given a lot more creativity,
more freedom.
More freedom, be more experimental.
That's true.
Because I'm actually surprised hearing that 2001 is actually a mainstream movie, and it's so experimental.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he got away with that.
Yeah, and he probably did have a lot of opponents to his style in 2001, and maybe that's why he started doing the independent movie.
Well, maybe unless he funded the films sort of himself.
Yeah, and plus the subject matter too of A Clockwork Orange, definitely. I don't know if people would back it, right?
Yeah, that is very true.
All right, well, we have to take another break. We'll be right back with the Movie Talk Show.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Movie releases, DVD rentals, and more here on The Movie Talk on KWDC 93.5 FM.
And we are back. You're listening to the Movie Talk Show. We've been talking about Stanley Kubrick, and we're discussing A Clockwork Orange. So, Paul, you have an analysis of the movie?
Oh, yeah. I want to know your guys' analysis, too.
Well,
by the way, after mine.
After yours, all right.
Yeah. But I think Kubrick is trying to say that you can't eliminate sin, but you can be heavily tortured by it. And as the famous philosopher that Kubrick uses once again, Nietzsche says, sins are indispensable to every society. They are the only reliable weapons of power. The priest lives upon sins. It is necessary to him that there be sinning. And so in other words, without sin, there would be no order in society, and without sin, we wouldn't be human, but a tortured human soul without a desire for anything. And I think that we must all have sin, because without it, we wouldn't be learning from our mistakes or be inspired by anything, really. And Kubrick professes this truthfully, and that is why I think it is one of the most important films of all time. it's how Kubrick does this is what is so fascinating. The Ludovico technique, the experiments, is not only placed on Alex, but it's placed on us too. If you have seen the movie and you have listened to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, you are reminded of this film because it repeatedly plays throughout. And this is proof of how classical conditioning works, and it works on the audience very well. And even in the credit sequence, they replay Singing in the Rain. So little things like that, I think Kubrick is trying to say, you have to know violence and know evil, because that's the essential element of being human.
Wow.
So I guess that's my analysis.
Deep.
Yeah.
Hashtag deep.
All right.
That was nice, man.
I don't know what everyone else thinks, though, because there's different theories about this movie, too.
David?
Oh, my theory first?
Yeah, man.
Well, honestly, I was confused throughout most of the movie. And it wasn't until we met up today that you guys kind of helped dissect it with me, and I was able to figure it out. Yeah,
I had the same reaction when I
don't
first
really
saw
have
it.
a solid deep analysis.
I've seen it twice, and definitely the first time that I watched it, I was a little confused.
Yeah,
because there's weird subject matter. It's a weird movie. It is kind of experimental, but I agree that Kubrick is basically showing us a picture of a person who is kind of, I guess you could say, evil, and.
But we all have that.
We all exactly.
We all have those feelings.
So he's maybe Alex as a person is a microcosm of society,
right?
And he is the evil in society. And if we try to take it away, it doesn't work. So I really like your analysis of how mankind needs sin to sort of have order. And we were talking for another movie of Kubrick's about. Sin being a main theme, and how without sin we wouldn't be able to advance as humans. We were talking about for 2001: A Space Odyssey,
like that,
because the monkeys, once
when they learn how to
wield power, with a club, then they advance, they organize. So it's something similar, I think, with A Clockwork Orange. Alton, what about you? For
me, I only saw the movie one time.
Uh-huh.
So when I saw it, I never wanted to watch the movie again. But until I became like that more analytical type person who will watch movies, I do want to watch it again. But the only thing I could really think of is that you can't force anybody who adapt themselves into sin or evilness. You can't force good in them. Otherwise, it could have some psychological backfire, and you might not be able to grasp that goodness as the way you want to from how I watched it. And I only watched the movie one time, so I'll have to watch it again. But that's from what I got from watching the film.
Right.
Definitely watch it again. I have it on Blu-ray and DVD. I watched it over 7 times.
Wow.
It is one of my favorites. It's up there on my list.
And you've read the book, right?
Yeah, I have the book. It's one of my favorite books too.
Isn't there a big difference between the book and the movie?
It's mostly the same. The big difference is the last chapter of the book. Is Alex? It's a more hopeful ending than in the movie. The movie is kind of questions.
Ambiguous.
Yeah, it's more ambiguous.
Controversial. Okay.
So that's about it.
All right. Well, that's our show. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the Movie Talk Show. I'm your host, Surtaj Bangu, and thank you to everyone in the booth, David, Paul, Alton, and Gus the board op. Have a wonderful day.
Live from Studio G at San Joaquin Delta College.